Corey, we're taking a trip to the past. This is Outcast, A New Beginning, and this rides the name of the older Outcast series, but I'm not exactly familiar with those myself. I came around to the game scene a little bit too late, but getting into this one, it's a very large open world, third person kind of action adventure game. So we're going through the storyline where you are Cutter Slade. You've been dropped onto this very alien planet to, seemingly to help the aliens out and rid them of this kind of incursion on their land. But you end up making friends with a lot of these alien races, and some of them are really funny, some of them are really not funny, and well, you are left to kind of form your enjoyment as you get their favor. So you're trying to do all these little quests for these people in these towns. Once everybody's happy with you in that town, the chief will allow you operation of their portal. And their portals are kind of cool. It's kind of like a throwback to Stargate.
Yeah.
And I felt that was, especially when you activate them throughout the world, you'll see that little Stargate opening scene, and I thought that was a little fun nod. I'm a big fan of Stargate, but when we get into your first impression of this game, what did you think about it jumping in?
Well, you know what? I've heard about the original game that came out in '99. I don't believe there's too many comparisons here between that game and this one. So I didn't really have, a really set expectations on what this game was going to be other than an open world action adventure game, like you said. And I mean, I enjoy Cutter Slade as a character. I think the voice actor was done fairly well as far as most of the VOs in the game, but I found the dialogue, especially early on, to be like a little extra cheesy at times. And I mean, we talked about this kind of before getting on camera here, is that this game does a lot of things fairly well in this genre, but it doesn't really jump away from what we already know, what we've seen before in these types of games. So when we first get into it, Cutter Slade is meeting all these new people, and we're in these new towns, and we're kind of just learning the mechanics of the game. When you open things up and you get your jetpack and you start to get some of the attachments for your weapons, you start to see where this game kind of shines. Especially for me, I found once you get your jetpack maneuvers and you start moving around, kind of blasting around this world, you start to really enjoy what this environment looks like. They've done a good job of making this kind of lush jungle type sphere, depending on where you are in this world. And I really enjoyed being able to kind of fly around with the jetpack and do these quests, albeit some of them being very generic. And especially when you go from area to area, a lot of the side quests tend to be the same style, a trials type quest where you are unlocking things along the way, and if that's the grind you're interested in, I think it'll be there for you, because this game is not cheap, man. You're going to be getting it anywhere from about $60 to $70, so we are kind of crouching into a AAA title area, and I don't know if we're quite there here.
No, I think that's fair. Starting with the voiceovers, I think the real highlight to this game, it has to be that world. It has to be that lived in, kind of the different races speaking with each other and the different alien personalities you're going to come across. But when it gets into the voice acting, some of it was extra cheese, and it felt a little painful at times. But it was to the point where I was wondering, are these aliens supposed to understand a lot of the sayings that happen? A lot of the earthly English sayings that don't really make sense. Well, some of them start to echo that back at you, and it gets really strange. But as you form these relationships with the different towns, the different cities, I think that's where you're able to experience the kind of variation across the map. There's the little coastal island city, there's the jungle city, there's kind of the beginning areas, and when you're moving between those, I found there's actually an interesting kind of auto travel function. If you're in your jetpack flying mode, you can kind of just put the controller down, and it will guide you along that road, similar to what happens in Red Dead.
Mhm.
But I found that was kind of a relief, because I could just observe as I'm going around. But at the same time, feeling like you're trapped, feeling like you're grounded to the ground, and you're unable to really move around, that made the combat really, really drawing at first, where I felt not only underpowered, but I wasn't understanding the ammo situation either. You're supposed to collect these crystals as you go around to keep your guns shooting premium ammo, we'll say. But if you don't have ammo or a crystal, you can still shoot, but it does almost no damage. It was really, really painful like that for a while.
Yeah.
But, I say but, several hours in, after kind of torturing yourself, I was able to grind enough of those side quests out to make myself very mobile, where now I'm flying around just like a jetpack. I can shoot, I can dodge, and I can just take off from there and fly away. and that was a lot more fun. Once you break into that kind of second phase of the game, it really opens up in a big way, and that's where I got all of my enjoyment out of it. Well, Corey, we're left with a bit of a mixed bag on this one because although it demands a AAA price tag and it does have quite a lot of the looks of a AAA game, when you get under the hood there and you get into it, it is a bit of a mismatched AA experience. There's an interesting combat system there, but it really makes you work for it. There's a really, really cool world to explore, but again, you must work for it. The story is really intriguing, and it was enough to draw me in at the beginning, but again, the pacing is just a little bit silly, a little strange, and that leaves me with an overall 6.5. I think this is a good kind of game if you're the right person to jump in, but for the majority of people, this is going to feel a little bit disjointed.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with you pretty much every point there, Scott. I'm just a little bit lower with you with a 6. I think this game offers something for a lot of people out there. There's people that are really going to enjoy this game and get through that story, but there's going to be a lot of people that can't make it through the first 5 to 8 hours of this game because it's just not quite as polished as you want it to be. And it's really hard to get into that experience and enjoy that story when things like that are happening, especially on the graphical end of things. So for me, again, I'm going with a 6 here. I think this one just missed the mark, and I think you nailed it. This one's a AA game for sure.